Emotional constipation, it's a fucking thing. It's when you have feelings related to another person and you hold all that shit in because you're afraid of the mess it'll make if you let it spew out. Who are you protecting? To whom are you pretending that everything's okay at the expense of your own emotional well-being? Why are you afraid to say that thing to that person? Far too often we choose to hold shit in because we don't feel safe to let it out. We're afraid it'll destroy a person or a relationship or our familiar life. But is our familiar life built upon lies or things withheld? Is it worse to set your life on fire and then deal with it, or perpetually smolder from within? We have no control of what other people do or how they react, and those people may have the ability to alter our lives. If so, we tiptoe around them, clenching our proverbial ass cheeks together to not let on that we are suppressing big shit. But just like a motherfucker walking awkwardly on tiptoes trying not to shit themselves, it's quite clear something is fucking amiss, and if we remain emotionally constipated, it will show itself as well. Sometimes it shows up as distance. If we stay far away, geographically or emotionally, it doesn't matter. We feel safer so that we don't have to both deal with our own shit or set someone off. We owe it to ourselves and to those who are important to us or are or were an integral part of our lives to be fucking honest. Or it may come out as anger. If we're hurt, we generally default to anger instead because it's easier. So we may say rude shit, or say normal things in a shitty way, or passive-aggressive, whatever. It's fucking awful on both ends. It's killing someone with thousands of tiny cuts, and the backlash causes more suppression. It's fucked up. We have to screw our fucking heads back on, and we have to decide what's important. We have to decide if we're willing to see, accept, and incorporate our shadow and live as a fucking whole person. The truth of who we are is a mixture of shadow and light. Suppressing the dark and coveting light is not a truthful way to live. This heat we carry will consume us, and we have to decide if we're willing to let this heat out and communicate it to those who are involved with our lives and who are a cog in the machinery of our heart. We protect these people who we love by choking down our own pain so as to not light them up. But action creates ripples, and sometimes we have to surf other people's shit, which ultimately lights up our own shit. But it's worth asking, why do we not feel safe to tell our truths to certain people to begin with? We clench our emotional ass cheeks due to fear. If we're being vulnerable and honest, and we're not pointing fucking fingers and we're not using the word you, if we are telling our truth and leaving the other person out of it, then hopefully they will feel safe and compelled to flood into that vulnerability void and tell their vulnerable truths so that understanding and healing can happen. But we can't count on that, can we? We build strong-ass defenses not to feel. Blame is a thick wall. We have to decide whether to do the most difficult thing, tell our truths knowing it may set a relationship on fire. We have to understand that if our truths burn it down, then it was likely just a fucking matter of time anyway, and would have probably led to you spontaneously fucking combusting. That shit's not good for anyone. Light a candle of truth and vulnerability, and if there's something combustible within your relationship, if the forest of your past issues together has too many dead trees that you haven't dealt with, then they'll burn. And like a forest fire, they'll consume matter and turn it into ash and smoke, but will also free you of the suppressed angst crowding the forest of your mind. Some relationships, if unhealthy or toxic or just make you feel like shit, probably should burn, probably should have burnt. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The best time to burn it down is as soon as you realize it's fucking diseased. But most of the time the issues are ours and are just being lit off by the proximity of someone we love who we've let in. Oftentimes, saying the hard things surprisingly softens the hurt between two people. And sometimes it's a fucking forest fire that's necessary for the health of the forest. It takes careful discernment and communication to determine what's what. But from the fertile ashes of a necessary confrontation, perhaps something new can sprout. Perhaps you can heal another by healing yourself, by not allowing emotional constipation to destroy you from within. And maybe the fire's too hot and you have to walk away. You won't know until you loosen the bowels of fear and set your truth free. You owe it to you. Toodaloo.